Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I think it's time because we have a lot of new viewers and a lot of people planning their first cruise going into the fall and the wave season coming up next year and spring cruises and all this kind of stuff. They're booking their first Alaska cruise. A lot of people are sending me questions and everything and asking me about certain things. Well, I said, all right, I better put out another video that explains some things that you really need to pay attention to and you really need to have for a good, safe, and as fun a cruise as you possibly can. So I have a top 10 list. Today's video is 10 things everyone should know but when taking a cruise. So tip number 1 is brought to you by today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. If you plan on using Wi-Fi at any time during your trip, whether it be on the ship, whether it's at an airport, or even a local coffee shop in Cruiseport, you should always be running a VPN. It only takes a few seconds for hackers to capture all of your personal information and data. It can happen absolutely anywhere. By having a VPN running, it hides your IP address and safeguards your device from threats like hackers looking to steal your personal information. The reason I chose Private Internet Access is they have a no-log policy, which means they never store or record my data. This has been proven in court by a third-party audit. They also allow you to protect not just 1, 2, 3, 5 devices, but unlimited devices under the same plan. Everything from computers, phones, tablets. By using my link below, you too can secure your information. You'll get an 83% discount plus 4 months free. So for just $2.03 a month, you too can have peace of mind when traveling like I do. Thank you to Private Internet Access. Tip number 1 for sponsoring this video. I never travel anywhere without a VPN. Number 2 for me is absolutely insurance, okay? I know it costs extra money, but at the very least, you need medical insurance. You can get medical coverage fairly cheaply. The expensive insurance is the cancel for any reason insurance where you're going to get your money back, or you decide not to go on a cruise for any reason. There's trip interruption. That's the expensive one. But the real expensive one is actually the cheapest insurance you can get, which is just medical with evacuation. Sometimes you can pick up a 7 to 10 day cruise for as little as $100 for medical and medical evacuation only. And it's worth every penny, because if you had to pay for a medical evacuation from a cruise ship, a helicopter, a Coast Guard cutter, anything like that, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. It is not unheard of for certain situations to cost over $100,000 worth of medical evacuation. And that can literally bankrupt people forever. And if they don't have the proper insurance, they're on the hook for it themselves. And I hear horror stories all the time. I don't care if you think your credit card's going to cover you or anything like that. Make sure some kind of medical insurance with evacuation. All the other insurance is bonus. That's all bonus. But make sure you're protected in case the worst happens on your cruise. Number 3, it's up to us as cruise passengers to make sure we have all of our own paperwork. In other words, for instance, if you're going to New Zealand, you need a visa, not just your passport to go to New Zealand. Same with Australia. You need a visa. You need to actually go online, download their app, and send it in and apply. It's usually a very quick process. When Tony and I went at the end of last year to go down for New Year's Eve, which was amazing, by the way, We were lucky enough, we just got the app, and within 2 or 3 days, both countries had accepted us. It's a very simple process, but had we forgotten and not done it, we would have even arrived at the airport to fly there, and we would have been turned down because they would check for our visas and they wouldn't have even let us fly to our location. Not only that, some countries still require COVID vaccination to visit the country. That's right, there's still countries out there. So whatever it is, go in, look it up, and check what paperwork absolutely needs for your trip. So whatever you do, double check that you have all of your paperwork ready to go. Number 4 is something I preach a lot of times just for the sake of making sure you make your cruise. A pre-night hotel. It's nothing worse than having the stress, especially how many flights this year alone have been canceled. And imagine you're stressed out because you booked an early flight at 6 a.m. and all of a sudden you got to the airport and your flight's not leaving till 1:30. It's a 3-hour flight and your cruise leaves at 5. Well, good luck with that. Right? How crazy is that? For the sake of one night hotel, you might have missed a $10,000 cruise. And now you have to figure out a way to fly to your destination or your location. Find yourself, you don't have to stay at the Ritz-Carlton hotel. You could find a nice, clean, 3-star hotel and stay there, but stay in the city you're traveling to. And the farther you're traveling, leave more time. For instance, when I travel to Australia or Japan, I leave 2 days in a hotel before getting to the cruise ship because there's not as many flights. So if I lose the flight one day, I still have a chance on the next day, and then I still have a second chance the day after to still make my cruise. It's not worth me not spending $300 or $400 when I'm spending $14,000 to fly and cruise out of, say, Australia or Japan. It's not worth that little money to stay in a cheaper hotel. And if you want to stay in a nicer hotel, by all means. But please, don't arrive the day of the cruise. It is so risky, and especially the way flights have been in 2023. Number 5 is when you're looking at purchasing your tickets and everything for your cruise, what kind of package you're going to get, do what we call the return on investment. For instance, myself, on a 7-day cruise, I may have 1 drink a night. Maybe on the outskirts, the odd day I might have 2, but never more than that, ever. So is a drink package that's going to cost me $700, $800 worth it? Well, if you say the average drink is around $11, I take 10 drinks on a 7-day cruise, that's $110. Yet the package is $700. It's not worth my money to buy an all-inclusive package if I'm not going to use it. I want to make sure it's absolutely worth the price that I'm doing. So look at your cruise, look at the things that you will do. If you're a wine drinker and you're going to have a glass of wine at lunch, a glass of wine at dinner, maybe one on the balcony after, the package could pay for itself. But please look at it, because a lot of people just automatically throw it in for the sake of convenience, which is fine, but then don't complain that the cruise is really expensive when you might have been able to save $1,000 between 2 people simply by not having a drink package. Number 6, a lot of people like to do the newest, biggest, brightest, shiniest, right? That's why the Icon of the Seas is almost sold out for the entire year. That's because it's the newest, brightest, biggest, shiniest ship out there. However, that's not always the best cruise for you. Sometimes, if you look right now, the newest ship out there is the Wonder of the Seas as far as an Oasis class ship. However, the Allure is pretty much the exact same ship. Very little differences between the 2 ships. But if you price them, you can save $1,000 to $2,000 sometimes between the Wonder of the Seas and the Allure of the Seas. or the Oasis of the seas, the older Oasis class ships. They still have all the fun entertainment. They still have Broadway shows. They still have the same dining venues pretty much. They are pretty much identical ships. The difference is, hey guys, this one's brand new. That one's old. You want the bright new one and you're willing to pay for it. I don't know, the Allure is still one of my favorite Oasis class ships, and it's the second oldest one they have. Number 7 is booking your return flights. I know it's a pain in the butt to be in a city all day and have your flight later on at night. However, there are so many times that a ship doesn't make it back to port on time. It develops engine trouble and it has to slow down. It has a port blocked where it can't get in because something's going on in the port, or they had to veer off for a medical issue. They had to search and rescue because a person went overboard on another ship even in the area and they had to stop and help. All kinds of things can happen that will delay a ship. I don't know how many times customs alone has taken an extra 3 hours in the morning than normal if they do a security sweep on your cruise ship that day. And if you booked an early flight thinking that you can get off at 8 o'clock and make it to the airport by 11, and now you're trying to get off at 8 o'clock and you don't get out of the airport until 10:30, now you're really in trouble and you've missed your flights. Never ever book a flight, if at all possible, until at least early afternoon. I never book a flight before 1 p.m. at all. And if I can, I'm usually 3 or 4 o'clock, because I have been on ships where suddenly we couldn't get off. It just didn't happen. And had I booked my 11 o'clock flight, 10 o'clock flight, there's no way I possibly could make it. I have a cruise upcoming where I was looking at getting off one ship, flying to another city and getting on another one. It's a 3-hour flight. And I'm looking at the times. And I'm going, the best case, like I would need to get off the ship, like first person, through security, first person, and get to the airport in time to catch that flight in order to catch that other and hope the flight is on time. And it would be like an hour leeway about missing the ship. And it's terrifying to do that. You don't want to book your flights too close. You also, if you have a layover in a city, don't book that layover with a 20-minute layover or a 35-minute layover. Give yourself an hour to 2 hours layover in that city, because you're less likely to lose your luggage for one. If your plane is delayed, you're less likely to miss your second flight. You have a cushion. And so many people say, oh, I don't want to be stuck in an airport for very long. And so I will take the really quick turnaround. And then they get to their destination and lo and behold, their luggage isn't there. Yeah, leave yourself cushion. Getting to the flight and on the flights, leave yourself some cushion. Number 8, it's a cruise. It's supposed to be enjoyable, relaxing, and a vacation. Too many people overindulge when it comes to shore excursions, thinking they have to do as many and as vigorous as possible. I don't know how many times I will see people get off the ship, do a 3.5-hour shore excursion, rush back to the cruise ship, and take another 4-hour excursion after that. And then they get back to the ship and they're like, oh, I'm so tired. And then they get off the ship at the end of their cruise and they're going, I just don't feel relaxed. Well, that's because you were going the whole time. Take time to sit and relax. Don't overdo the show. If you don't, if you have a 10-day cruise and you have 8 cruise ports, you don't have to get off at every one. Maybe pick a day, maybe 2, where you just spend it on the ship with less people and enjoy all the things that the ship has to offer. Book a spa day on that particular day. It's usually a lot cheaper. There's so many things to make your cruise relaxing that you don't have to overindulge on those shore excursions. Shore excursions are a lot of fun, but I see so many people tire themselves out because they think they have to go, go, go all the time. Also, my number 9 tip is, speaking of relaxing, if you, at some point on a cruise, no matter where you're sailing, take the time to go out and watch a sunrise or a sunset. It's like clearing the mind. It's like just, it can be breathtaking on the ocean, especially if you're not in a cruise port and you're out in the water. No matter where you are, over Alaska, Norway, Japan, Australia, the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, it doesn't matter. You get out there and you watch that sunset and the peacefulness of the ocean sailing by at the same time. It is better than any relaxation tape. It is better than any medication. It is better than anything to de-stress yourself, and just take one night of your cruise. Watch a sunset, or get up one time early in the morning, make yourself a coffee, and get out there and watch a sunrise. It truly is one of the best things about cruising. And finally, number 10, we're finally there. I have to tell people this all the time. Roll with the punches, be prepared for changes, and don't let it get you down. So many times I've been on cruises and our itinerary has to change because of weather, or something's wrong in a cruise port, or a ship breaks down. That's very rare. I haven't had too many ship breaks down. I've had some incidences. I've had floods. I've had air conditioning not working. But as far as actually not being able to go anywhere, I've been very lucky on my cruises. But I have had bad weather where we've missed, Tony and I were in Australia. We ended up missing our 2 biggest ports that we wanted to go to because of bad hurricane, typhoon weather up in that area, and we diverted to another area. Did we sit around and just mope? Just mope like, so many people do. The minute something goes wrong on their cruise, it's the worst cruise ever. You gotta know that things happen. Things are going to happen. You're going to maybe be delayed getting on the ship a little longer than you thought it was going to be. Maybe your paperwork wasn't quite all up to par that you thought it was, and it takes you longer. Getting off the ship might take a little longer. Oh, tendering back and forth took a little longer than you planned. It's all right. The worst day on a cruise is still better than being at home or at work. So I have to tell people this all the time. Just roll with those punches. Don't let get everything down on you, and you'll have such a much better experience in life general, not just on cruise ships. You can't let the little things tear you down. That, again, life as well as on cruises. And there you go. That's my 10 tips. Insurance. Make sure your personal information is protected. A VPN. Thank you, private internet access. I use it everywhere I go, by the way. I never promote anything I don't actually use myself, just to make that clear. Also, insurance, flights, roll with the punches, and relax. Those are some of the easiest things to accomplish on your cruise, and it will make your cruise go so much smoother, and you'll have such a more relaxing and enjoyable time. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.